With a lot of Indian football clubs, it's easy to talk about their transfer dealings and look at it from a simple perspective of black and white. Who did they sign? Who have they let go of? How is it that it will impact the team? However, the team that we're going to be looking at right now, Hyderabad FC, well, their thing becomes a little bit more complicated than most, and why exactly that's the case, we'll get to that in just a bit. But again, Hyderabad FC are a side that there are always high expectations around, despite the fact that this is essentially a franchise that only came about in 2019. They replaced the side known as FC Pune City. The franchise was sold, it moved to Hyderabad. Hyderabad FC now are pretty much definitely one of those clubs that are instantly recognizable in Indian football, thanks in no small part to their very vibrant, shining, bright, white, yellow and black kit, which of course does also give a nice little nod to their partnership with Borussia Dortmund, another club that have made the yellow and black strip absolutely iconic. However, with Hyderabad FC, they were established, as I said, relatively new, but they tasted success in the 2021-22 ISL season. They became ISL champions, so they actually did really well in that regard. And even if you go back to the 22-23 season, they may not have made it to the finals or been able to defend their crown, but they were the second place team in the league stages, so they were definitely there and thereabouts when it comes to where it was the top clubs would be expected to be. This season though, as I said, there is a bit of a complication, but before we get into that complication, let's actually just take a look at the players who have left the club. First off, if you're taking a look at this list, you'll see there's not that many names. So of course, someone like an Ode Onanidia, an Akash Mishra, Borja Herrera, Javier Seviero, Joel Chinguenis, Halicharan Narsari, Rohit Danu, these are the main players who have left. Again, not that many players who have left, which generally speaking is of course the sign of a team that is very, very stable, and there haven't been that many players who they've announced signings of either. Let's quickly take a look at who it is have joined the club. Now, when you're looking at who of these have joined, so you have a Makan Chote, you'll have a Petri Penanin, Joe Knowles, Jonathan Moya, and of course Vignesh Dakshinamurthy. That's just again 5 players. So really they haven't made a lot of changes, which can be seen as both a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing in the sense that generally speaking, the best of football clubs don't necessarily need to be making top tier changes to their roster every single season. They don't need to be signing 8-9 new players per year. At best, maybe you'd be signing 3, 4 or 5. So in that sense, Hyderabad FC are pretty consistent, but there is one little elephant in the room that we are yet to talk about, and we're going to talk about right now, and that is the transfer ban that Hyderabad FC have been hit with. One of their former players actually ended up going to FIFA over unpaid wages, and that's obviously a major issue, which is what led to Hyderabad FC being hit with a transfer ban of sorts, and that ban will stay in place until they clear the dues that are, let's say, currently pending. Now, there's no indication as to whether or not they have fully done that, but the simple fact is that transfer ban being in place means that they cannot register any new players ahead of the upcoming season. Yet, of course, as we just went over, they have signed a ton of players anyway. So what exactly is the deal here? Will they be able to register those new signings? Well, at the moment, no. For what all we know, maybe the club is actually doing some work on ensuring that they can clear those pending dues so that they can then sign or rather register those players, because if they go into the upcoming season having not cleared the dues, which has led FIFA to put a transfer ban on them, they're not going to be able to register those players they sign, and you might very well see a case of those players leaving despite the fact that they were in fact signed by Hyderabad FC, which would be a very convoluted, complicated, messy situation, and one that the club would hopefully avoid. Whether or not they do, we don't know that, but what we can tell you about the squad, if we look at it and assume for 1 second that they can register those players, is that it looks pretty settled, which is always a good look. Again, this is a side that finished that finished champions the season before last. In the last season, they finished second, so it's not all that bad. So there is definitely a hint of consistency in the side, but it's all going to hinge on whether or not they can register those players. Otherwise, they may find themselves struggling to even make the playoffs, never mind add a second ISL title to their cabinet. Of course, that's just how I feel about it. What do you guys think? You can let us know that in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Don't forget to download the HYDERABAD app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead and check out some other videos that we've done. But for now, from my side, it's goodbye.